OpenAI's 2025 Dev Day happened, and at it, Sam Altman made it clear that ChatGPT is no longer just a chatbot. It's becoming the operating system for the AI era. So at this event, the company unveiled a bunch of updates that basically are starting to transform ChatGPT into a fully fledged platform where developers can build and distribute apps, much like an AI native app store. So they announced the new Apps SDK, where users can now interact with apps from companies like Coursera directly inside a chat, meaning they can create, learn, and transact in one seamless conversation. The other big announcement was Agent Kit, which is a suite of tools for building autonomous AI agents that can perform real-world tasks, from managing business expenses to automating entire workflows. Altman framed this change as moving from systems you can ask anything to systems you can ask to do anything for you. There was also a bit of a surprise with a fireside chat between Altman and former Apple design legend Johnny Ive, and they revealed that we know they've been collaborating on a new line of AI hardware, but they revealed that they have been doing that for 3 years now. So, Paul, all the updates here are obviously squarely focused on developers. That's no surprise, but maybe walk us through, why do these matter for the non-developers listening?
Yeah, I mean, the agent builder, it sounds like, is still requires quite a bit of technical capability. I don't think the average person is going to go in there and start, building agents. But a few things that jumped out to me: one, they're now latching onto the 800 million ChatGPT users. There's sometimes not direct on how many users they have, but that was a talking point all week. I listened to a couple of podcasts where they were using that number as well. So, that's a big number. It's a big number of active
Right.
users. And so when they do things like this, when they introduce, agents and apps and the connectors, they're doing it to a very broad audience, which means it can start to change the way that people behave, people build things, people get, productivity done. Um, the apps themselves, if you're curious, it's in settings, and then you go to apps and connectors, and that's where you can see them and turn them on. I assume they will make a more intuitive interface for that, probably more along the lines of like how the GPTs work, where you can go in and search the marketplace, I guess.
Mm.
But for these initial 8 or 10 partners that they had at launch, including Booking.com and Canva and Coursera and Expedia, Figma, Spotify, Zillow, I think are some of the ones I saw. You just go in and you connect them. Now, this was brought to my attention. I saw this on LinkedIn. Natalia, I think, was the lady that had tagged me in this, one of our listeners. And it's something we talk about a lot on the show about. Be careful before you connect, before you
Mm.
add these apps to your account. You have to understand what you're giving up when you do this. So my understanding right now is this is only on personal accounts you can use these apps. They don't. So they said in the release later this year, we'll launch apps to ChatGPT Business, Enterprise, and EDU. So if you're in your business account, you're looking for this, might only see settings, connectors. You might not see the apps there. But in the personal account, I think is where this lives right now. Um, so when you go to connect one, so I went in and I was like, all right, let me just see what this looks like. And I chose Coursera to see. So the idea there is that as you're interacting with ChatGPT, you may come across like, oh, I want to learn about this topic. And they may recommend to you a Coursera course. That's kind of how it would be integrated. To do that sort of thing, data is getting shared both ways.
Mhm.
And so, again, sort of like user caution, you have to understand what the companies you're connecting to your ChatGPT account get access to, what you're giving up. So when you go to connect one of these apps, it says you're in control. ChatGPT always respects your training data preferences. Apps may introduce risk. ChatGPT is built to protect your data, but attackers may attempt to use ChatGPT to access your data in the app, or use the app to attempt to access your data in ChatGPT.
Mm.
Data shared with this app. Now, this is the important part. By adding this app, you allow it access to: 1, basic information typically shared when you visit a website, such as your IP address and approximate location, and 2, data from your ChatGPT account, including from conversations and memories. Our policies require that apps only access relevant content to respond to your requests. So you're giving them access, in theory, to anything you do and say, and any memory that ChatGPT has about you,
Hmm.
because that enables them to then serve up more targeted recommendations and eventually ads to you. So again, it's, cool tech, but as this tech moves forward, we just always have to keep in mind what is it that we're actually giving up? And do we trust the third parties that we're connecting to? And not only that, when it starts to get into the business situation, Mike, where we can turn these things on for employees, um, what is the risk of the data getting leaked out now? And it just compounds. And this is why, it's always important to have IT involved, to have legal involved, to have the right parties at the table when you make decisions from a business perspective about what connectors and what apps you're going to enable.
Yeah, that's a super important reminder. And I know for a fact, unfortunately, there's plenty of companies we've encountered or work with who don't have even the beginnings of a policy or a plan for how you're supposed to be using the tools that they're actively turning on for employees.
Right. Yeah, and it's just it's a gray area right now. Like it's hard to know, and it becomes more complex to understand even which ones do have access to your stuff. So I'm even when I was trying to figure this out, I was going into our own account. I'm like, well, what is currently connected? What
Right.
usage is there with these things? So yeah, it's just really important to keep in mind.